Crinkle, crinkle. What are you eating?
we start out with Melissa saying something.
Would you like a jelly baby?
Ooh, yummy,
jelly
yummy.
babies. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night Fiction Club, the special Doctor Who edition of the show. We'll be discussing the current season, which is the first season with Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and plus we'll be talking a little bit about some things from seasons past. So, welcome to Sunday Night Fiction Club. As always, I have the lovely and talented Melissa Lummis as my co-host.
Hello, buddy. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. And as almost always, because he's been here a lot,
Yes.
the lovely and talented Xavier Granville. Welcome to the show, Xavier.
Oh, hello! How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. We always start the show out talking about what we are reading. So, Mr. Granville, are you going to tell us that you're still reading the Jim Henson biography?
I put it on hold for a little while. I'm at the 75% point, but
okay.
what am I reading right now? Doctor Who book.
Cool.
The Eight Doctors. I'm reading the Eight Doctors, which is the first in the line of the Eighth Doctor books, the series of novels. There's 74, I think, novels in the series.
Holy moly. Of the Eighth Doctor.
Yeah, as you know, the Eighth Doctor is the one that only had the Fox television movie.
Right.
And so
Starring
there's
Paul
no...
McGann, correct?
Yeah, Paul McGann, yeah. So there's no other television performances with Paul McGann, but there's 74 novels, there's a series of comic books, and there's more audio adventures because they do BBC drama like audio plays. Like picture like War of the Worlds kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like where you're listening to, but it's a Doctor Who episode, so it's like an hour and a half of Paul McGann or Sylvester McCoy, the Seventh Doctor. So Doctors 5 up to 8 are all still making Doctor Who episodes. They're all just audio versions.
Have you listened to some of those? Because I've been curious about those. I knew they did them.
Yep, I like them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
especially
So
like
this-
the Eighth Doctors.
Yeah. Now, this one you're reading, it's called The Eight Doctors.
Yeah,
Is it like those episodes, like the fifth, the five? Do they have 8 doctors together, or it's just because he's the 8th Doctor?
With that one, I'm not too sure of how exactly it's going to unfold. I know it's the book takes place right after how the TV movie ended, so it's the story right after that. And there's a lot of with all those books, there's kind of like a continuity. We don't really know as to where the Time War fits in with the Eighth Doctor's stuff, so there's a lot of fandom questions up in the air as far as like the chronology of how you're supposed to view the Eighth Doctor's adventures, because there's so much of it.
Right.
Because since there was like that hiatus so long, he had like the Eighth Doctor has more adventures than any other Doctor combined.
That's really something, considering it was just the one movie, and it was what, about a 12-year gap, I think, between when
exactly.
that movie. Yeah. Wow.
Something like that.
Yeah. And what did I want to ask you about that? Oh, well, I just wanted to mention that I did see the mini episode that Paul McGann was in. You know, that
Night of the Doctor.
Yeah, Night of the Doctor. That was really good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I got to read more of that. I have. I had mentioned to you before. I've got when the 50th anniversary special was out last year. You know, they released. They re-released one book of containing, for each of the Doctors, that whole series, and I have all 12 of those, and I'm anxious to dive into that. Melissa, how about you? What you been reading?
Well, I have a class that I'm attending in November, and there's always like 3 or 4 textbooks I have to have read before. This is for my yoga therapeutics. I'm doing 1,000 hour, so I've turned to my textbooks. So, one of them is Yoga for Depression and PTSD. So I'm reading through that with my little highlighter and my notes and stuff. But I also picked up, I think I had mentioned I had read a book called Stacking Habits.
Yes.
So I picked up another one of S.J. Scott's books. It's called 23 Anti-Procrastination Habits, How to Stop Being Lazy and Something or Other.
I got that. I'm gonna maybe start it tomorrow, or maybe the next day.
Is it actually called being lazy or something or other?
How does that know?
I like that.
But it's How to Stop Being Lazy, and I can't remember the rest of it. But it's 23 Anti-Procrastination Habits.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
he's a good writer. He gets to the point. I've seen some funny reviews on his where people are like, oh, well, this is all like common sense and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, he didn't market it as being like secrets that you didn't know.
It's not
But
like it's The Secret.
Exactly.
Right. Oh yeah.
But he has
I
a
got
real,
that. Great book.
he's got a real great way of piecing it together to make it like, here's how you can start working on this right now. Here's something you can do 2 minutes every day. And I like that. That's simple, quick, and I'll pay,
Cool.
$2.99 for that.
Yeah, why not? I just finished reading The Sweetest One by Stephen Moss. I had mentioned that on, I guess, the previous two shows. I really enjoyed that a lot. He's actually going to be a guest on my other show, Buddy's Writing Show, next week on the 17th, I think. That's a good mystery story. And I just started reading Eaten by Michael Laurent.
Great.
Nice.
With Michael. Yeah, Michael was just on my show a couple nights ago.
I just downloaded that because I watched the show, and I was like, all right, I got to read this one.
Oh yeah, it's really fun stuff. So
Yeah, I actually won the audiobook for commenting on your show. Michael was giving away the audiobook for Eaton, so I'm.
Oh, okay, cool. I hadn't seen that
Yeah,
before.
I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to getting that audiobook. Thanks, Michael.
That is awesome. Yay.
Awesome. Well, kids, let's talk Doctor Who. We've got a couple live viewers. I see Carl Sinclair and Michelle Reeder with us. I know they're big fans of the Doctor, and so hey, we might as well start out talking about this the new series or the new season, depending on where you are in the world and what you call it. But we just started the run with Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, and why don't we? I want to go right to our guest co-host here, Xavier Granville. How are you liking this season so far?
Well, I'm personally loving it, but that's just me. Like, I'm a big fan of the old series, and the current Doctor, like Capaldi, is really just bringing it as far as the third Doctor and the fourth Doctor, like all the and there's so many references to the first and early years that it's I can understand where the fans are at if you got attached to the Matt Smith cuddly best friend Doctors, but really, can you expect like a 2,000-year-old man, who has seen civilizations burn to, actually give a shit about your feelings about stupid shit? That's where the Doctor really has always been at, and like Capaldi's Doctor is really reflecting that of just like the difference of like he is not a human, he is not one of us,
Yeah, there's definitely that difference there. What do you think so far, Melissa?
I'm definitely one of those. I mean, I watched the originals, and the older stuff, but I got into, David Tennant and Matt Smith and on. I really enjoyed what they brought to the character. So I will admit, I went into watching the first episode of this season with a little trepidation, like, okay, where are they going to take this? And I definitely had read the, rumors about taking it old school, and I was like, I don't know. It was nice to see the evolution of the Doctor with, some feels, but I have to say I'm really digging it. And by the time I got halfway through the second episode, I was like, all right, I'm in, I'm good. So watching the Robin Hood episode for like the third time tonight, I was like, woohoo! I was having fun with it.
Awesome. And I'll say I'm not entirely sure where I stand on things so far. I am not loving it as much as both of you are, I'm sorry to say. The first episode, it's funny. I saw some things, and for anyone who's watching, you haven't seen these episodes yet, we're going to be spoiling everything. Okay?
Yeah,
spoiler alert. We should put that
Someone
up.
do a River Phoenix spoilers.
River Phoenix?
River Phoenix? Oh my god. All right.
Oh man, that's the worst spoiler. Suicide.
River Phoenix is on the show. Yeah. Okay, River Song.
Yeah, River Song.
Yeah,
maybe that's what we should put across the bottom, is just scrolling across the bottom. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Okay, but
a picture of River Song with her.
Why don't we? So yeah, I hope we see River Phoenix sometime this season.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
I
that
would
would
love
be
to see River Phoenix on the show.
or any show. All right, I better move on from that. Hey, why don't we break it down then, episode to episode? Then there's only
Okay.
been 3 episodes so far, and
Mhm.
this series did start out like we said. The season premiere was called Deep Breath,
Yeah.
and I'm going to read the little synopsis thing from Wikipedia here. When a dinosaur materializes alongside the Houses of Parliament in Victorian London, the Doctor's old friends, the Paternoster gang, is that how you say it, are relieved when he arrives, seemingly to deal with the creature. However, they soon realize that the Doctor is the one in need of help, newly regenerated, extremely volatile, and questioning his self-worth. This is a very different man from the one they last saw. The only person that may be able to help him is Clara, and she is grappling with losing the Doctor she knew and loved. All right, fair description of the show, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they'd done more with that dinosaur.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was like I enjoyed Deep Breath, but I was a little I don't know. Too much of that episode seemed like a Moffat talking to the audience more so because like Clara's reaction about the Doctor changes is completely unfounded because she's been split across the Doctor's timeline. She's seen all 12 different versions of him. Why is this time a big deal? Makes dick all sense.
Exactly.
Well, I think you're. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, her reaction there, and I had seen a couple people mention this online because I was reading other people's thoughts on the show, and it seems like, to me and to others, it seems like they beat the whole "oh my God, he's old" thing to death. I mean, yeah, she's seen all different kinds of versions of the Doctor. I mean, she knows his story, and it seemed like some people had trepidation about Peter Capaldi or Capaldi, however you want to say it, coming in because he was older, and it seems like they were just kind of still like, hey, let's just keep throwing it in your face. Yes, he is older, but big deal. He's a great actor. I mean, and he's still the Doctor.
Yeah, seemed more for the audience sake than anything. Like for all those the girls that are on Tumblr and retweeting, gifs of Matt Smith smiling over and over again. Like I'm sorry, girls. He's not coming back.
Yeah. But it's hard to let go, when you get attached.
But that's the regeneration cycle. You hate him when you find out that your guy's leaving and he's going to be replaced. The first couple episodes, you're like, I don't mind this guy. The end of the season, we're all going to be like, best Doctor ever.
With each Doctor, it could be a few episodes.
And then when it comes time for when the next guy's announced, we're going to be like, no, Capaldi can't leave.
And that's how it goes. And I want to speak to the fact that I felt that episode 1 was speaking more to the audience than it really was portraying, the evolution of the relationship between the Doctor and Clara. Look at the bad guys in this one, where they've been piecing themselves back together all this time. That just seemed to just scream symbolism to me. I think that's why I was like, really? Are we going to beat the audience over the head like they're stupid? Or were they feeding into the whole kind of frenzy of like, no, this guy can't replace? And it's like, it just was a little bit out of hand for me. I would say that was it just felt like there was a lot of, yeah, I already said it.
Yeah. And I saw some people complain about, oh, you're not really seeing the Doctor's new personality. But you know what? I get that because he just became, he just regenerated. He's still scatterbrained, so I let that slide for the episode.
Yeah.
I get he doesn't know who he is yet.
Oh, and think about the David Tennant the Christmas special where he that whole episode is Rose and Mickey freaking out while David Tennant's asleep, and it's not until the end of the episode that he has some tea that he actually comes forth and kicks some ass.
Right. Exactly. And what did you guys think of the bad guy in that?
The half-faced man.
Yeah, half-assed man. Half-assed man. Yeah, half-faced man.
He was a robot today. Yeah, no, I thought he was okay. I thought the actor was good. Him being that, he was creepy.
Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, he was creepy. I thought he was a little boring, a little more boring than I would have liked. I did like that we had Madame Vastra, Jenny, and Strax in there. I do like them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find Moffat might be pushing them a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, like they're his own original characters. It's like any Angels episodes has there been since Moffat came on. They're his babies, like you
Right.
can expect that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's his contribution to the Doctor Who universe, so why wouldn't he milk it?
Mm-hmm. And what did you think, Melissa, of the bad guy there, the half-ass man?
The half-ass man.
Yeah.
He half-ass man.
I'm old. Like the bad guys are probably some of my favorite characters to dissect. I think he was a bit shallow as far as the bad guys go, but as we get to talking about the other two episodes, there's connections, I think.
Yeah.
And
I
although they're not these many layered, peel the layers of the onion back kind of bad guys, but I think that's on purpose. I'm seeing something build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, from the perspective of having seen the first three, going back and watching episode 1 again, I watched just this afternoon, I'm like, there's, it seems overly simplistic, but there's a reason for that, and I think it has to do with this whole Promised Land string.
And that's what I was going to bring up next. That episode was our first meeting with Missy at the end. In the Promised Land. And
who the hell is Missy, and why does she say the Doctor's her boyfriend?
There's a lot of theories out there about who Missy is.
So many.
Yeah. Now, Xavier, I don't know much of the Doctor Who history prior to the 2005 revival. I've seen some Tom Baker. I've seen John Pertwee episodes. But what is the one character I keep hearing brought up for? Is the Rainy or the Raina? What is a lot of people say they think Missy might be that?
The Ronnie.
Oh boy. Okay. If I kept going, I would have got there. Okay.
Yeah. The Ronnie is a Time Lord, and she is a very wicked Time Lord. Not quite as like nefarious or like recurring as the Master is, as far as like villains. But I think it was mostly during the Sylvester McCoy, the Seventh Doctor era that the Ronnie came in quite a bit. But she just kind of messes with the Doctor quite a bit, and tries to steal his TARDIS a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
But in the as far as canon goes, so the reason why some people will argue that Missy is not the Ronnie is that at some point in I think it was either the audio series or the book series. This is after the TV show went off the air. But there's a story where the Doctor had cut the Ronnie's head off.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, as far as canon goes, the Ronnie should be dead. But then again, all of these other, who the Ronnie might be, all have kind of hints of like maybe this person might be dead. Yes. If you look at the girl from, do you remember the one the Tennant episode, the Next Doctor, the one that's in between season 4 and before the end of time, with David Morrissey as the guy who thinks that he's the Doctor, but he's not the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I liked that one.
Yeah, that's a Cybermen episode, and the villain, the woman who becomes like the cyber controller, like becomes like the controller of the giant Cybermen that's trashing London.
Right.
Her name was Missy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good catch. Ooh.
But and also the it's pretty confirmed by all the photos from the series finale that it's going to be a Cybermen episode. So there is a tie between Missy, the name, and Cybermen, but it's two different actresses, and there's just so many things you can argue it forever.
Yeah, we won't know.
Well,
for a while.
The fact that, and this is obviously everybody's spoiler alert, the fact that the people who die in each of the episodes end up with Missy, and
Exactly.
they are looking, well, except for that soldier, she wasn't looking for it, but the Promised Land.
Yeah, seeking it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are all hints, or they're red herrings. We'll see.
And also, I noticed that both of the people that it showed go to the Promised Land, or what Missy calls heaven, both of these people have sacrificed themselves in the name of the Doctor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. True.
I was just going to bring that one up. It's like, okay, and this kind of storyline I've seen before, and I'm not going to mention the other shows I've watched it in, but that connection of what does the Doctor sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
These lives that he sacrifices, and okay, jumping ahead a little bit in episode 2, she made the choice, of course. But didn't the half-assed man make the choice too, or was that the debate? Because at the end she asked.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the whole point, and like so that way you can debate it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we brought up episode 2 a few times, so why don't we dive right into that one? That was called
Into the Dalek.
Into the Dalek. And I've seen some people say online, they figure, oh my God, we've seen so much of the Daleks the past several years, and they seemed a little dismayed that we got a Dalek episode already with Capaldi. That didn't bother me so much. What bothered me is it was a little boring.
Really?
I just,
thought it was boring?
I don't know. I'm just not in this season so far. I mean, Capaldi I think is really good. I realize it's a new Doctor. I realize it's a new personality. It just didn't knock me out. I got to tell you, I fell asleep 2-3 times in it, and
yeah,
I shouldn't have. I watched it like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
The one thing that I had always heard that like the main people that had discrepancies with the episode was they kept saying that, like there has been occurrences in the past of some semi-good Daleks, like in the whole episodes, the moral question the Doctor's facing of whether or not there can be a good Dalek and all that stuff like that. But I think what people that were arguing that really missed is that that's not what the episode's about whatsoever. It's all about the Doctor wondering if he is capable of changing himself, whether he can rewrite his own main programming. And it's that's when the Dalek see and the Doctor have that brain meld, and he's teaching the Dalek, look at the universe. You see its beauty, and he sees the divinity, but he also sees the hatred and all that. And so like it's the Doctor really trying, like, can I change who I am because I'm obviously I've done a lot of bad shit.
Right. And I agree with that. I think it was more about the Doctor, but I do think it was a definitive moment in terms of can there be a good Dalek?
Yeah.
Because they're going to latch on, whether it's the nature of the beast, they're going to latch on to the hatred. They're going to latch. And that's what they said at the end. It's like, of course you will. That's who you are and that's what you do. But he was talking about himself, so I totally agree it was more about him.
Yeah. Now, what I did like about the episode, probably the most, was the introduction of the Danny Pink character. Because from what I understand, he is going to, again, spoilers, but it's out there publicly, he is going to be a companion, I guess, at some point during this series. And interesting character. I'm not sure about the... I don't know. It seems like they're maybe going to throw a romantic relationship there between Danny and Clara. That's kind of what they're hinting at.
Fumbly bumbly romance.
I mean, it seemed like they were kind of throwing that at us a little too fast, I thought.
And which character is this?
This is the guy. He's a teacher at
the teacher.
The school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm thinking Dalek, so I had to like backtrack.
Yeah.
Teacher at the school.
Yeah, and I like how it's like, they talk about him being an ex-soldier, and there's that nice scene where the kids kind of poke fun at him and get him to kind of crack.
Yeah, he tears up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, kids can be vicious. So.
Yes.
Right.
And it just goes to show, like, if you have these, like, little wounds, it'll crack you. But I think what I really took in from that scene is that, like, if you compare the Doctor's character as far as how Capaldi's taking it and how Danny Pink is, like, they're very much similar because they have these histories, and the Doctor is surrounded by humans who essentially to him are children, and they are able to say something that hits him because it was just like that random little thing. They wouldn't talk to him as a Time Lord would speak to him, so they don't know when they've said something that's absolutely destroyed him.
Right. Now, was it the beginning of this episode that the Doctor sits down and he asks the question, You know,
Yeah, it was that
think
one.
I'm a good
Yeah,
man.
am I a good
And
man?
she says, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know, which kind of bugged me in a way because she should know that he's basically a good man. But yeah, I mean, I can see why he asked it and why she wasn't sure because he's a new doctor. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it seems a little confusing as to why she would be confused, but like I
yeah.
like what the whole like the sentiment like that you heard same like with what they said in the third episode, how just like it doesn't like the doctor essentially he's not a good man, but it's the fact that he does good things
Mm-hmm.
that hopefully he will like as William Hartnell, the first Doctor, put it like in an interview, like the reason he's called the Doctor is because he makes people better. It's not
Hmm.
like he's not a healer; he just makes people better.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you seen many of those episodes? The
Oh yeah,
William Hartnell,
oh yeah.
first Doctor. Are many of them out there to see, or do you have to like buy the DVDs? Because I know I look on Netflix and I look on Amazon. I think I saw only one season available.
Yeah, there's a few missing from the William Hartnell years. Unfortunately, most of the Patrick Troughton and the second Doctor years are all destroyed.
Yeah, I did read that. There's only a
Most
couple that are available
Yeah,
for that.
very
Right?
little for Patrick Troughton. But with William Hartnell, yeah, there's quite a few for the I think the three seasons that he was there for. I know there's a few episodes that are missing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's mostly there.
Oh, cool. Cool. I'll have to check them out a little bit more. Did you like
Yeah,
the first Doctor stories a lot? I know I'm backtracking, but
yeah. I think he's very much like how Capaldi is. You know, just like and like I'll switch to talking about the third episode if that's cool, because
Hmm.
there's a great comparison there. There's a first Doctor book called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, where the first Doctor and his companions end up on this one world, and there are dragons and knights and what the hell? There's no such thing as a dragon, and
right.
and the Doctor is completely perplexed. And he spends the entire book trying to solve the fact that there is no dragon, and everyone says that there's dragons. There's no such thing as a dragon.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting.
And that's like the battle in this new episode, the Robot of Sherwood, where it's Clara wants to go see Robin Hood. Doctor says there's no such thing as Robin Hood. They show up in Sherwood Forest, and there is Robin Hood. So he spends the entire episode trying to convince the world and himself that of course there's no such thing as Robin Hood.
Mm. Interesting. That Xavier, there was a show that you commented on, a YouTube show. A guy does a thing on Doctor Who all the time. Was it called Awesome something or
Uh,
another?
yeah, Emergency Awesome.
Emergency Awesome. And I had seen in one of those where he was really comparing it, this new Doctor to the first Doctor. It seems like there are a lot of references there. I guess they are trying to go kind of
Yeah,
old school with
he's
things.
yeah, the Emergency Awesome guy's pretty good at getting his old stuff right. There's sometimes he talks a little too. I think he watches too much Sherlock, and
Yeah, he did make a lot of Sherlock references there.
yeah. So I find that like sometimes I think he starts looking for Sherlock references within Doctor Who a little too much,
Yeah.
but
So,
otherwise he's good. Yeah.
yeah, Emergency Awesome dude, if you're watching, which you probably aren't, good job. Good job. So, all right, so we'll go to that episode then. One other question, Xavier, if you don't mind. The school that
Coal
Clara
Hill.
and Danny teach at, yeah, that's a recurring thing throughout the series, isn't it?
Yeah. Coal Hill is from the first episode ever of Doctor Who.
Okay, that's what I
Um,
thought. That's what I
yeah,
thought. That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
The Doctor was traveling with his granddaughter Susan, and Susan was pretending to be a student at Coal Hill School, and her two teachers, Barbara and Ian, both, they're noticing that this girl knows way too much for her age, and the girl's like looking through history textbooks and saying, "Oh, that's wrong." So that how does she know all this mathematics stuff? So they follow her one night, and the Doctor kidnaps them and puts them into the TARDIS, and then history since.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it wasn't on friendly terms that the Doctor first met his first companions.
Interesting. I really got to go back and watch those. Well, we started talking about the Robot of Sherwood. Melissa, what are your thoughts? You said you've watched it 3 times already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was just on last night,
Yeah.
and I watched it this afternoon, and I was like, I gotta watch that one more time. So I was I was doing this Twitter chat tonight, and I had it on in the background, and I had to keep like rewinding and like, wait, I gotta see that again. I think it's because one, I really love when they go into history like that, when they play with characters that we have grown up with and love. Or even like one of my favorite ones was the episode with Van Gogh in it. I love when.
Yeah, I know that's one of your favorites. That's a great one.
Yeah,
And,
Vincent and the Doctor.
Yes, Vincent and the Doctor, and I think that I love the whole play, like you were talking about Xavier, where, he's trying to prove that this isn't real. I love the whole play on that, and the whole time I'm just like, legend, 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 Doctor Who, legend, Robin Hood, PC, that I love symbolism. I love when they play with who the characters are with the outer arc of the story, because it's really an internal dialogue of the character of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Played out on the stage.
Yeah, and I really liked the moments of the when Peter Capaldi was kind of making fun of Robin Hood, and just like in a battle of who's going to live longest, like, oh, shut up, Doctor, like, well, I think we know who'd win.
Right. What did you think of the sword spoon fight?
Oh my God, that was the best. I loved it. I love him putting on the glove. Spoon. And I was like, yes! I don't know. I'm like that with the shows.
We do have a comment related to this episode. This is from Patrick Stamp. He says, spoilers, I'm going to shoot this gold arrow at the outside hull of that ship. That'll fix the engines, right? I'm struggling with that, but Capaldi is awesome, though.
Yeah, that was,
It's the one part where I'm just like, well, it's a kids show. and it's like when I started getting into crazy debates about Doctor Who and stuff like that, I'm just like, we are not their fucking demographic.
Well, I'm watching it with my kids, and,
exactly.
And I'm experiencing it with them, and I see it from their point of view. And I'll say the Robin Hood episode really had everybody jazzed and up on their feet and yelling, and it totally hit the mark. I enjoyed it so much.
It was classic Who in that sense. Yeah. Like, of course the ending was ridiculous, but it always is.
And you mentioned the demographic. I mean, obviously, adults are the ones who probably geek out the most about the show, and I say that in the nicest way. Out to all of us geek, but and maybe the first two episodes they were a lot darker, so it was probably good that they had this show in there, maybe to appeal a little bit more to the younger audience.
Well, and I will say, my 9-year-old son, when I was rewatching the second episode today, kind of lost interest and wandered away, but he's seen it, so he knows what's going on. Whereas when I was playing the Robin Hood, he was glued. He was totally like, yes, this is my Doctor Who. Well, and he actually said that. He said, this is my Doctor Who.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'd say of the 3 episodes so far, that's been the one I've liked the most. Fell asleep in that one too.
Maybe you just aren't getting enough sleep, or you're working too hard, or something. You're up all night.
I don't know. I'm watching these in the afternoon. Yeah, it was my favorite of the 3. I'd say it had a lot of fun moments, and I think that's something that was maybe lacking a little bit for me in the first 2 episodes. And I get what they were trying to do with the themes of each of those, but for me they weren't as much fun as maybe some of the things from the last few Doctors.
Well, going back to sorry, didn't even cut you off.
Go ahead.
I was saying, if you go back to episode 1, that phone call, I think, really summed it up. And since it's all spoilers here anyways, and hopefully anybody who's a fan of the show has watched episode 1 already, when the previous Doctor calls Clara and says, he needs your help. These were, I think, the things they wanted to get out of the way, the themes, not that it was like, okay, let's just get this shit out of the way. Oops, excuse me. But
it's all right.
I really do think they were playing to the audience.
Oh, yeah. That. Yeah.
Let's help the audience make this transition. Let's hold their hand.
Yeah, I've seen some people complain about that they thought maybe they shouldn't have done that. But I don't know. It worked for me. I like Matt Smith. Carl Sinclair is watching. I know he really didn't care for Matt Smith. Matt Smith is my Doctor.
Matt Smith is
He's
cool.
my favorite Doctor.
Well, and that's just it. Like, Carl, and likewise with I, like we've taken in like a large chunk of Doctor Who,
Hmm.
whereas the people who are like into it like for this new series, I can totally understand where people are coming from, but that's just, like that's what you get when you try to think that you own something or
Yes.
or start to understand something that's not
Hmm.
yours. Like
Hmm.
it's not, like you're never gonna fully get it because you can never own it.
Right.
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 Well, I mean,
It's never gonna be done.
well, here's another aspect of the story speaking to the story is the line that I posted when I was posting about Sunday Night Fiction Club. History is a burden. Stories make you fly. So,
Hmm.
you can look at this from, they're really pulling on, more of the old school Doctor Who, but they're also subtly reminding you that you don't own it either. This is a whole unfolding. Um, and
Yeah.
maybe there's things about it that we all need to let go of and move forward. And I'm probably over freaking thinking it, but that's what I do. I overanalyze movies and stories and TV shows.
Yeah, no, and if like I remember there was one, I can't remember which episode it was, but they were talking about, I think it was the episode with the Pandorica and River Song, and they're all bringing all those people together. And she was just saying how like what the word doctor means in different parts of the galaxy,
All
because
right. Yeah.
because
Mm,
because it means different. Like, in this place it means warrior savior. In this place it means bringer of destruction. Like
right.
Hmm.
the legend of like who the doctor is. He's having a personal battle. It's like, doesn't matter who, like, your personal battle, that's not the issue. It's like the things that you've done, that's the legacy.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Very cool. I'm looking at the comments here. Carl mentioned we mentioned Emergency Awesome. He said, "Charlie, love Emergency Awesome." Not sure why, because he always seems quite awkward in his videos, but you can't look away. Yeah.
So, something about daily videos, you watch them.
The guy does a wow.
Yeah, and he covers up like so many different series.
Mhm. And we have the Reeds watching us too. John and Michelle Reed. Michelle had said that she completely agreed with you earlier, Xavier, about Clara's timeline. She thought that was kind of ridiculous. I guess that she wouldn't, remember things.
Yeah, or otherwise just react that way. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh, another thing about, how Madame Vastra did that whole like speech about the veil, and
mhm,
like I wear my veil, when strangers around. It's not so much like I'm worried. It's just like that's the guise I put on. Blah blah blah.
mhm.
Hmm.
She's going on about this, but meanwhile I'm like, but at the beginning of the episode, she walks out in the middle of the street and just like, aha, a dinosaur.
Right. Good call. Good call.
like just like what the there's like obviously at least one dude who she talked to, and he was never like, what's with your face?
Right, right. And to me, that I mentioned it earlier, the people weren't as rattled as they should have been about a dinosaur being there. It's like, oh yes,
Yeah,
dinosaur. What's it doing here? You know?
yeah,
But you get that a lot
Yeah, I
in
get that a lot when
Doctor
I'm out with
Who.
dinosaurs, and see people are like, "Oh, yes, it's just a dinosaur in Delaware, not a big deal."
well, yeah, that's why no one ever hears about what goes on in Delaware. It's too cool for words.
Oh, that's definitely not the case. But
You can't tell us otherwise. There's too much cool stuff going on in Delaware. You don't want to talk about it. Keep it to
what
yourself.
happens in Delaware stays in Delaware.
That's where that comes from. Yep.
That's right. That's right. Vegas ripped us off, those bastards. Okay,
Delaware.
Damn that.
Delaware. Yeah, I know we're all thinking about Wayne's World right now.
Oh, yeah. David Anson just said, "Hola, amigos."
Well, hola indeed, Mr.
Hola.
Anson. Hola indeed. So,
I keep missing the comments because my comment tracker isn't. I'm trying to go back over to the YouTube space.
all right. So we've talked about the 3 episodes so far, and I think, well, like I said, I was said that I was fell asleep in each episode, and I don't want to imply though that I'm hating these episodes. I'm not loving them as much as I would like to. To me, they're not as fun as I would like. But I think, like I said, episode 3, I'm happier with this than the first 2, and maybe as we go along, I'm sure as we go along, I'm going to
Maybe you
like it.
just needed to warm up.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I
The
think
new
there's going
Doctor's
to
personality, yes, he's miserable, and like you explained, Xavier, that makes sense. You know, he's not going to put up with a lot of crap from people. Peter Capaldi, though, is fantastic. I mean, there were some moments in this one where I'm like, oh, okay, I really, really like this guy, and I haven't disliked him at all. I've heard a lot of people complain, they said about Moffat's writing. I hear a lot of people say that seems to be a lot of hatred out there towards Stephen Moffat. But
yeah, he's the main person that people will attack.
yeah, and I don't get that because, you know, I've loved so many of his episodes.
Yeah,
You know?
he was bullied off Twitter.
He was?
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
He used to be very active on Twitter, like as far as like up until I think season 6 or something like that, and then
Okay.
people wouldn't give him a freaking break.
Well, yeah, and even before he became like the showrunner of this, I mean, he wrote so many episodes. Did he write Blink even?
Yep.
I mean, I've heard
Yep.
people, you know, people bitch about him, but he's written some like really, really classic, you know, very highly respected and loved episodes. But but fans are quick to turn on people when they don't like things. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, no, like him and Mark Gatiss, like they've been writing partners for a long time, and both of them, you know, since the revamp, have been involved in like, you know, almost like every other episode. Like one, there's always a Moffat episode. There was always a Gatiss episode.
Right.
And you know, for the fans out there that do watch Sherlock, Mark Gatiss, one of the writers for Doctor Who, is the guy that plays what's his name? The Sherlock Holmes' brother. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Minecraft.
Okay.
I knew it was a stupid name. Minecraft. Kind of like
going to name my first son that, and now you just ruined that.
You were no.
Who's going to be Minecraft Xavier Gott? That was the plan. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll rethink this. But I'm not a Sherlock person. I've never seen Sherlock, although I hear that I've got to watch it. My fiance loves it, and I think I'm going to start watching that soon.
It's all right. It's not really for me.
Yeah. But all right, let's go back to the Doctor then. We want to talk older stuff for the series since we've covered the first 3 episodes pretty well. Unless there's something else you want to say about the first 3.
I think I pretty much covered it.
Okay. I mentioned that Matt Smith was my Doctor. Okay, he's my favorite Doctor. How about for the two of you? We can go back to the beginning of this one, or all the way back to the early '60s for favorite Doctors.
Well, for the most recent, I go back and forth. Some days I'm Matt Smith, some days I'm David Tennant. it depends on, you know, because I watch a lot of the reruns because the kids like to, you know, go back and watch it, and there'll be some episode that, you know, I'm just all of a sudden back in love with Matt Smith, or oh no, David Tennant. But I bounce between the two of those. And I watched I watched the original Doctor Who when it came out, you know, like the black and white, you know, Sunday afternoons when they would replay it, you know, because they were playing it on, you know, those UHF channels when I was a kid. And, you know, and of course, you know, PBS. But it was a totally different time for me, and I was taking it in a different way. And I haven't gone back and watched the old episodes in a long time. And I certainly haven't read the huge canon of Doctor Who books. I mean, I've picked up a few and read them, and it's not for, you know, lack of wanting. It's just...
It's too much.
It's too much. Freaking much.
Yeah. You try to read all those books, listen to all those audio plays and everything. I mean, you wouldn't be doing anything else.
Yeah.
Although my husband did find there's a lot of the BBC audio stuff that's on this one website. What do you know? What
Finish?
Yeah, and it's all free stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
You can just listen.
Yeah, they will have free streams on there, like you just like so you can sample the stuff, and they you can buy full seasons on there. You can buy like a 12-month pass, and they'll just keep sending you either CDs or streams. You know, so there's lots of great stuff the way that they set it up. But it's been going since I think 2001. So when I was looking into it, there's like I don't know, like 600 hours or something of audio.
Yeah.
Mhm. Holy moly.
There's a
Yeah.
lot out there. So we started when we're traveling. We always like to listen to audio stuff, audiobooks. I get the great courses. But yeah, from that website, there's a lot of great stuff out. So if you're interested in listening to it, that's a place to start. What is the name of the website again?
Big Finish.
Big Finish.
That's the
We'll put a
company.
link to it.
Yeah, and like I said, they're the company that does like all the yeah, I know. Sorry, Carl.
Did you just see Carl's comment?
Oh,
I've already commented. All right, I'll put it up so we can just kind of laugh together. Carl Sinclair says Matt Smith can eat a bag of dicks.
see, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I thought he was fun, and there were some great stories there, but.
I had asked him if it was salted or non-salted dicks.
Oh.
No, I can see where Carl is freaking out, but at the same time, Carl, like everything that Matt Smith done, like it was very reminiscent of Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor. Like the hand movements, all that stuff,
Mhm.
like the bumbling and just like don't take this guy seriously until suddenly he's in your face and he's yelling "pond."
Right. So, did you tell us your favorite Doctor yet, Xavier?
No.
I mean, I know you like the old ones, but
Yeah, I like John Pertwee, the third Doctor, and I really like Peter Davison, number 5. I thought he was just such a. He's if you like David Tennant and you want to get into the old series, then Peter Davison is he's very comparable. Because after Tom Baker, who was this very eccentric, I'm the Doctor, like
right.
all over the place. You don't know what he's doing, those teeth and those eyes. And then when it came to Peter Davison, he's so like trim cut and he's so like elegant and just like let's go on a romp, like sorry, got a dash. He's just such like this he's very like vocal as far as the scientific stuff, but at the same time just a very charming guy. So I like that about it. But at the same time, as I'm just really loving Capaldi right now.
Mhm. Cool. The Peter Davison, I have actually never seen any of those episodes, and I'm trying to make my way through the old Doctors. Like I'm into Tom Baker right now. I saw one of the series with John Pertwee, and I did like that a lot. I want to go back and watch more of that. But I did like the mini episode with Peter Davison, where he was on there with
Time Crash,
David. Yeah, that was great, and that really made me want to go and watch some of his episodes. I've watched that several times now, and even in there, David Tennant's like, "Oh, you were my Doctor," which was pretty cool.
And the Peter Davison ones, they're on Netflix, right?
Some of them, I think they're.
Because my daughter was watching some of them, and she was like, "Mom, this is so weird." It's interesting to see my 12-year-old. She's really gotten into these worlds and digging. She's out digging. She wasn't asking me, what's out there. She went out and found it herself.
Yeah.
Holding up the iPad to me, like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "Oh my God, years ago, yeah."
Cool. Now, how about for companions then? Let's talk about favorite companions.
Yeah.
Melissa, how about you? Do you have who have you liked or maybe even disliked?
Of course, I like Amy. She's got to be my all-time favorite. I mean, I like sorta, kinda Rose. I mean, Rose is good.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. She left me wanting. And it's, maybe it's just...
She left me wanting too, but I think we're talking about something entirely different.
Sexual intercourse.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I enjoyed the character of Rose and all that, but I think Amy would have to be my favorite. And I like her relationship with the Doctor. I mean, the fact that she ends up getting married, and that's it removes some of that. They give you those little kind of bits of quote-unquote potential romance. And you're like, maybe it's from watching Doctor Who, back in the day, but it's like, no, it's not supposed to be a romance that way.
Yeah, a lot of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I thought that the River Song story was fine enough because that, I don't know, it seemed to... Yeah, it's River Phoenix.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry, River Song, yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I found that like that kind of worked in better because it was kind of part of this timeline that the Doctor had to discover himself.
Yes.
Whereas I find like the development of just like this kind of a girl hanging out in the TARDIS doting over this, godlike entity. It's just like
Mhm.
I don't know how much of this is her, it's kind of like Stockholm syndrome,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
you picture like someone going out into a boat and like having to have sex with the guy because you're too afraid of him killing you out there. Well, this is
I hate when that happens, man.
yeah. Well,
I hate
well,
that.
well, this is a
Oh.
time machine that goes across space and time. Like, what are the chances of him just like leaving you anywhere? Oh, Michelle Reed has got a good comment.
Okay.
My favorite companion is the robot dog, aka
Oh, K9.
Oh, I love him.
yeah, K9 is great. There's a couple of different versions of him over the years. Each one
Mhm.
is awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. For me,
What is up with Carl? What the actual bleep? Your son is Carl Gott. Did you see that comment?
yeah. Carl and I talked about that before, where Lisa and I had said we were very likely going to name our son Carl, and he said, "How could you think of any other name?" We said Carl. We said Carl Tennant Gott.
Carl
Oh,
Tennant
Carl
Gott.
Tennant.
Yeah. I just putting it out
Nope.
there. I'm not pregnant. We're not pregnant right now.
Very
Okay.
good.
And Michelle
Yeah.
said also I do not like Rose, so I think we're probably on the same page. It's like I shouldn't say I don't like her, but she wasn't the. It's like you said. There's just that. I gotta do this because of the situation, and it just kind of took away from it as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. Rose, I don't know. I remember, I just got into the show last November. I had never seen any of the revival until then, and I remember watching that first episode titled Rose, and I remember just loving the ending of it. I remember when she was running into the TARDIS because she made the decision to go with him, and she had like this great smile on her face, and just that excitement. Xavier, you're doing it perfectly. Wish you were talking so people could see that. Yeah, but I don't know. I liked Rose a lot. I did like. I liked Martha. I liked Martha quite a bit.
Martha had a lot of. Anyways, go ahead. I'll think of the word I'm trying
Oh, okay.
It went out of my head. Go ahead.
I've
Emotional
mentioned
hangups.
before. Yeah, I couldn't stand Martha's mom. Oh, Martha's
Oh,
mom.
she was the worst.
She was the worst. She was.
But at the same time, I mean, think about where her mother was coming from. I mean, here's this guy swoops her daughter off and takes her off to do what? And she's thinking the same thing. You're basically out in the middle of nowhere, can do anything with my daughter.
I know, right? How dare she?
I have mentioned before. My son. Oh, help me. The Catherine Tate character.
Donna.
Donna. Did not like Donna the first time I watched the series. I grew to tolerate her. Actually, I ended up liking Donna because there wasn't that romantic thing there. They were pals. I found the character kind of annoying. My favorite's Amy Pond. I like Amy Pond a lot. I love Amy. I just recently rewatched the first episode with Amy and with Matt Smith, and right from there I could see elements in her character that I liked. I mean, she was, yes, she's cute and everything, and young and. But never really so naive. I mean, she was like a tough character. I mean, a very strong character, I thought. When the Scottish accent's awesome.
And that just being Scottish in general. She's not going to take dick off from the Doctor.
Right. Just a total side note. She's going to be in a sitcom here in America. It's called Selfie.
Oh, that's right.
They've made the first episode available to watch. You can watch it on IMDb, and she's speaking with like an American Valley Girl type accent, and it's so weird to hear coming out of her. Not a great pilot episode, by the way. I got 10 minutes into it, and I had to turn it off. But anyway, regardless of that, Karen Gillan, if you're watching, please forgive me for that. I love Amy Pond. I wasn't sure about Rory at first, but I grew to love Rory. I love the whole Rory and Amy relationship. I liked them a lot as companions.
I'm trying to think of who my favorite companion might be. Like in the new series, I did really like Rose, but I could like it's like the reason that I won't say Rose is my favorite is because like Melissa kind of said, like she kind of like leaves like a sore spot. It's like, like for Doctor Who fans, you like remember Rose, you're like, ow.
Yeah.
It's like we the audience have the same like reaction that the Doctor has. We're just like, Rose, why'd you bring that up? So like it's hard. Yeah. But I think that like because I've been listening to so many of the audio dramas lately, I think my favorite companion is the renowned author Mary Shelley. They turned Mary Shelley into a companion in the Eighth Doctor series. Yeah, so it's an a voice actress playing Mary Shelley, obviously, but they rewrote the timeline.
Real Mary Shelley. They put her back together and gave her life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And they kind of rewrote the timeline of Mary Shelley's life in the sense that like during the years where she was just engaged to Percy Shelley and just getting to know Lord Byron and all those big authors, and she goes on with the Doctor, and so there is kind of a romantic thing between Mary Shelley and the Eighth Doctor, but it's more like she is torn over whether or not she loves the Doctor or whether she loves Percy Shelley.
Oh, that sounds really good.
And but there's only 3 audio adventures that have Mary Shelley, but each of those adventures all have specific themes that, if you were to think about it later on, and with the timeline of when the Doctor stopped adventuring with Mary Shelley, all of those stories could easily be, in Mary Shelley's mind, inspiration to write the book Frankenstein.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So there's an episode with Cybermen where the Cybermen get brought to life with lightning. There's skeleton armies rising from the dead, and there's like moral consequences of the question of just like the greatest advances can have the worst outcomes, kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So like through those 3 little audio adventures, you can kind of be like, oh, I could see how Mary Shelley could have written Frankenstein after hanging out with the Doctor.
Oh, wow. That's really got me curious to check them out. Cool.
Yeah, and that's part of the Big Finish line.
Nice. We got some cool comments here I'd like to share, if I can make this thing work. From Patrick Stemp, he said, Donna was supposed to be annoying at the start. She grew so much as a character. Mm-hmm. Wilf is the best companion. I loved Wilf. I loved Donna's grandfather. We talked about him on another show. I think Xavier and I did.
I want him to be my grandfather.
I want him to be my grandfather too. He was great. That man, so sweet. He can make you cry. I mean, he was fantastic. Love him.
Just that whole argument that him and the Doctor have of like Wilf trying to give Doctor the gun, and just like you're just the greatest man, and I don't want you to die.
Right.
It's too much. Like I tear up just thinking about
it. David Anson says for companions, Sarah Jane and Rose Tyler were the best. Amy was good, but she got on my nerves sometimes. I also like Martha Jones.
I think that's how I feel. Is like, except turn it around. Rose was good, but she got on my nerves sometimes. That's a good way of putting it. Whereas I really did enjoy Amy. Okay.
And Sarah Jane, I like I said, I've watched some of the old series now, and I do like her quite a bit as a character. And I'm curious about, I've never seen, what was it, the spin-off series of the Sarah Jane Adventures or Sarah Jane Chronicles?
Yeah.
Is that more geared towards children, Xavier? Or?
Yeah, it is. But also, Sarah Jane also had her own series of those Big Finish audio adventures, too.
Oh, okay. Wow. Interesting.
So there's a shite ton of Doctor Who out there.
Yeah.
David Ansis mentioned that Tom Baker hated K9. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
There's a couple episodes where, like, because he had to put together K9, and he was just like, stupid, thing always breaking.
Right.
He didn't always get along with K9 for sure, but that's what happens. What I've been trying to do lately is create like a giant Microsoft Excel spreadsheet of how to approach the series of, so if you wanted to read it like and watch it and listen to the audios like in a chronological order. So like you have your first Doctor, and where do all the independent either audio side stories or the book side stories fit within the series.
Okay, cool.
So I've made this gigantic spreadsheet.
Oh wow, nice. That's pretty awesome.
So, I am duly impressed.
Yeah, so at some point I'll be posting that. Yeah, it took me like a few hours.
Wow, very, very cool.
So I'll be posting that at some point.
Yeah, please do.
Excellent.
I'd love to see that, because there's so much. It's just a huge swirling vortex to dip into. It's like, okay, where do I want to go? Where does this come from? So that would be great to see.
All right. Speaking of things that are great to see, since we've only got a few minutes left, what would you both like to see in the rest of the season, or in the future for the Peter Capaldi Doctor? Anything you're like for me, I'd like to. I don't know if it'll happen this season, but I'd like to see River Song come back. I'd like to see River, because there of course were allusions to her having a relationship. Well, of course, we've seen a lot of her relationship with the Doctor, but she's mentioned that it was an older Doctor. When she's been with the Doctor, she's been like, "Oh, you're so much younger now." And I kind of like, I could see her paired romantically with Peter Capaldi, because they, the actor and actress are a little closer in age. If they're going to get into like that kind of thing, I kind of like to see River come back.
Yeah, my daughter just brought that up last night. Tonight when we were watching this third episode again. She's always on her phone. I'm trying to untrain that, but she tosses her phone down and says, when are they going to bring River Song back? Where are we going to sit? Where is she? What is going on? I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Kids say the darndest things.
Yes, they do.
They do. I don't know. I don't know if we'll see it this season or not. I know a lot's been leaked out there, I guess, already regarding the season and who's going to be on it. And I don't pay too close attention to that, because I do want to be surprised some.
Yeah, I try not to go out there and fish for that. I want to be surprised. I don't say that I have any expectations or wants in terms of what happens. I'm just really curious to see how they develop this. All these ties and hints at history's a burden, and I'm stuck on that line, but I'm just very curious where they're taking it.
Right. Yeah, I want to see the Doctor hit some new lows. Like, I want to see him, punch somebody in the face. I want to see some consequences, and I want to see, like him having to deal with some of the bad things that he's done over the years. But at the same time, I really want to see just more to that the whole Gallifrey arc.
Yes.
They've been working up to, like, it seems to be like as much as the Doctor is trying to figure out himself, I think he's also trying to figure out a way to find Gallifrey in that pocket universe, with the whole 50th anniversary, Gallifrey is out there,
Right. And at the end of that, he made it very clear that that was sort of his mission, to go back home and
the long way around.
Yeah, exactly. I loved the 50th anniversary special. I loved the Tom Baker cameo. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and nice. Thankfully, Tom Baker as well has started to do the Big Finish audio dramas too. He wasn't doing
that right. Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't doing them for a little while because he was supposed to be doing them with the Sarah Jane line, but unfortunately the actress passed away. So
exactly.
So unfortunately Tom Baker didn't want to do it for a little while after that.
Yeah.
And so now he's 80 years old and still the voice of the Doctor.
Right. Yeah, I just loved hearing his voice even in that cameo saying, I really think you might. That was great. Yeah, that was a bad impersonation, but you know what I'm talking about. Once you heard it, I was like, wow.
And like listening to the audio series, what's great about those audio series is that, if you close your eyes, you're just, that Doctor is right there, the only one I can say, like, Peter Davison does sound a little gruffer, he's got some cigarettes and years behind his voice, but otherwise, like all of the original Doctors, they sound the exact same.
Awesome, awesome. Well, folks, we have hit over an hour now, so a lot of fun talking about the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Very
curious to
cool.
see where this new season goes. Despite some of the problems I've had with it already, I do like Peter Capaldi. I think he's great. I want to see what becomes of this Doctor. I'd like to see him kick a little ass. That would be great.
Hmm.
And I'm curious about the new companion we mentioned too. Whatever is Pink, whatever.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Half-assed man.
Yeah, half-assed man. Yeah,
River Phoenix.
and River Phoenix.
Half-Assed Man and River Phoenix coming to you.
From Buddy's screwed up mind.
Yeah.
All right, well, everybody who's watched the show, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Want to let you know what's coming up. Next week, we're doing a special show on Adam Sandler movies. And I know
Adam Sandler. From
yeah.
Doctor Who to Adam Sandler. You never know what we're going to talk
Michelle
about.
Reed is going to be a guest on that one. And,
Yay, Michelle.
should I share the other news? I may as well.
You may as well.
Okay. The week
Go
after that, we're going to be doing an episode all about like great TV series finales and season finales. And the reason we're doing that is because that will be the final episode of Sunday Night Fiction Club. So 2 weeks from tonight. We're. It's too sad to talk about right now, but
I know.
yeah.
I gotta go drink a glass of wine or something.
Okay, but that will be So next week, Adam Sandler, and the following week after that will be our final episode where we'll talk about great finales. So anyway, thank you all for joining us for Doctor Who. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Xavier.
Yeah, and
Thanks, guys.
we'll be seeing you soon.
All right. Good night.
Great week, everybody. See ya.